Hey there, welcome to the secret history living inside your aquarium and my aquarium as well. This is Alexander Williamson, and I am showing you a shrimp giving birth. Now this happens to be a Neocaridina davidi shrimp, also known as the blue dream shrimp, and you're immensely lucky to catch this point of view if you can ever, because this female shrimp, whoop, there goes one baby, I don't know if you caught that, because she is buried up, if you can see those berries a little clearer when I zoom out, and she's at the perfect angle for us to see. She is behind a piece of glass, which is warping things a little bit, but her side flank armor on that you're looking through, the translucent blue, there goes another little one, is completely, right now it's completely clear. She isn't a dark blue color. She's been on lighter substrate lately, or at least medium colored substrate. So, kind of interesting, but you're watching her actively give birth to the last of her eggs, and you can see she's still jostling them for oxygen and things, but it almost looks like she is having a slightly tough time. Now, there is another, we can see a baby shrimp in there with her. That is this one walking here to the left of her, that is one from probably a week ago. So you can see the size difference we're talking about here between the eggs and the mother shrimp. Now, it appears that she probably has maybe 20 to 30 eggs, and right now she's probably oh, there goes another one. I don't know if you can catch these, if you're seeing them like I am as well, but basically it just looks like a little floaty thing going off into the water, and she's helping them undo the egg casing, and basically letting them out, and they either float away lightly, or they still have the remainder of their shell of sorts, and that shell then floats down to the bottom in between the substrate here, and you know, that's where wherever they land is where they end up. And then they'll lay low in the substrate for sometimes up to a week, and they'll live off of some of what was inside of them and in the eggs, and then they'll go searching for food, all the meanwhile kind of searching for aufwuchs and bacteria and fungi that help them I guess eat in the meanwhile, as they're still in this sort of semi-larval stage, although Neocaridina shrimps are considered a higher order shrimp, meaning they give live birth. Now, if you have these shrimp, or you're curious about them, they are the exact same shrimp species-wise as the cherry shrimp, and they are a selective breed or morph, visual difference of the, as I said, Neocaridina davidi, as well as it's possible that palmata or zanganensis, I believe it is pronounced, also have some bloodlines shared in the hobby amongst some breeders, although the Neocaridina davidi is what is commonly accepted and assumed to be the majority of the blood in these blue dream shrimp. Now, these come from the darker morph of the natural type of shrimp, and they come from a chocolate shrimp, which then starts putting off a blue morph. But also, interestingly enough, Neocaridina blue shrimp are probably the most common route that can be morphed to. Now, I know that statement sounds confusing, but essentially what I'm saying is that, and now you can see she's tossing a couple eggs around, which is getting the mold off of them. You can see towards the back there, she has a little pearl or ball that she's working right now. She's just pushed it up forward again, and it was circular. Now it is no longer circular, and it is looking more like a baby curled up shrimp than a perfectly round ball. And so she's helping undo that, and it's really quite magical to watch them do this. And they can feel, clearly they're not looking at it, they can feel which little shrimp need help. They're not just dropping these eggs to fend on their own necessarily. Now, they do accidentally drop them from time to time, and I've seen that happen also, especially when they're really full or stressed or startled, really full of eggs, that is. But this is a proper birth happening where she was full earlier today, and there should still be another female who is full to the brim. But oftentimes you'll also find that groups of shrimp give birth together and also get pregnant or buried together. But yeah, she's using those back swimmerettes, those legs on her side that are next to the armor plating on her, which is purely defensive, obviously. She's using those, 1, to aerate the eggs and move them around so they don't develop any mold, and then 2, to keep them safe and with her, and 3, to kind of polish off the edges, so to speak, and work on opening them as they're naturally hatching also. And then to sort out which ones are still in there and need a little bit of help versus which ones are good to go. So I'm going to try to clear away some of the what do we want to call it here, the water, the stuff on top of the water. And just so happens that one of the other pregnant shrimp is making an appearance. So here we have a very pregnant female blue Babalti also. You can see her eggs are slightly different color. So we've got this cool shot, kind of, well, out of focus for you guys, but we've got the big female all very pregnant here with the one who is just getting rid of the last few eggs as we're watching this. Now, this process can take a matter of probably a half hour, or it can take days. I've seen some pregnancies last or be split up into like a week. That's not as common, but it does happen, where they had some eggs that were probably more ready, more developed, and they let them go earlier. So right now what she's doing is she's got to work those eggs out. And it's interesting to notice in this female, she's very healthy, and you can tell that even though with her color you might assume, is she missing some sort of nutrients or something? She's very translucent. Part of that is the stress. At night also, shrimp, if you turn the light off, a lot of times they look less vivid than in the day. And they have the ability, either consciously or unconsciously as a reaction, to change the color in their flesh, and some of them on their exoskeleton, it'll have be actually a color as well, making it look even more intense when their flesh is that color on top of that. Now, if you happen to find a passed away or deceased blue shrimp, oftentimes at first they'll be a pale blue, but then they'll sometimes be a pink to clear color, so that's just kind of an interesting side note. But as we're watching her, she's got the other female now with her. So this is kind of fascinating. I don't know what is going on here. They're right behind the brim of this glass, which is frustrating because I would rather try to film for you guys And maybe, you know what, I'm going to. This is just too interesting of a spectacle. Also, another pregnant female that wants to come by and say, hey, she just gave birth yesterday, is one of the babalti shrimp, just swam by. And again, while we're waiting for the last of the pregnancy to clear out, you can see on the walls some of the blue dream shrimp that came out last week, and they already have a nice deep blue to kind of a clearish gray color, which is not the same in every strain. So blue dreams, as I was saying before, I kind of got excited myself, also have the most number of routes genetically to get to their coloration. So blue dreams have been created. They can happen in the wild, a mutation that causes a blue shrimp, not nearly as blue as these usually, but just like lobsters and crabs, in shellfish, for some reason or another, that is one of the prominent occurrences of colors that can happen. Okay, here we go. We're going to try to move this a little. And now, hopefully, we'll have a less obstructed view. So, they can either mutate from a wild state, which is usually like a clear color or a striped red as the natural cherry shrimps. And that's I'm talking very pale stripe. Like, there is probably a baby over here that I could show you that would look something more like a wild shrimp with the red tendencies. Not even these are pale enough, but something along the lines of, you see that little greenish one there. The wild ones have that clear color, and like back in here, here's one. They have a clearish color, and some of them are brown, some of them are black, and others are a darker brown, but they all are some variation of that. Now, from those four main phenotypes that we distinguish, they usually are talking about blue dream shrimp are coming from the Shoko line, whereas blue velvet shrimp come from another line, possibly. Now, this is all a little contentious in that different breeders say different things. A lot of it was very proprietary when these were new and people were paying $100 a shrimp for blue shrimp when they were new to the world. But essentially, you had some random, just 1 in a million occurrences, and when people started keeping cherry red shrimp, like we were just looking at some of those, once in a while you'd get a blue one, and they'd select those and they'd breed them over and over, and now we have these world-class quality, like this one here, which is this one is from Lucas Bretz. So these are considered the truest blue dreams in the world. They are supposedly, and seem to be to me as well, have the most consistent blue. They don't need much culling, as in, you see how blue this female is here. She is just a beautiful regal blue, and her organs inside of her are the only thing that really separates how much blue there is, whereas this is the lightest end of the scale. But I must say, too, that as we're watching the end of this pregnancy, so something spooked her there, probably a hydra or some sort of small little creature in the substrate there. You see that one behind over there to the left just jumped. There could be some little critter in there that's stinging them or startling them. But the colors can come from the darker chocolate color shrimp, and that brown is actually made up of a mixture of red and blue, as well as some yellow pigments and black. all together, and a brown or tan. And then also the dark red, believe it or not, the Bloody Marys, within their line, and it's debatable whether they had blue crossed into red again, or whether the red just happened to cross out of the blue. But a lot of the deeper reds, and I'm going to pull away here in just a moment when I make sure that she's not about to... oh, see, she just kicked that egg back to the very back of her body there, and she might be kicking it out. I think we're going to see it here. I'm sorry it's grainy. That she just dropped one into the substrate. So that'll be a baby that she's just lets be. But basically, yes. So she is almost done. It looks like maybe there's 1 to 3 eggs left up in there in her midsection, right by that dark spot in her abdomen. And her color is starting to return too. Now that color is lighter for several reasons. 1 being stress, 2 being the time of day, 3 being nutrients, and 4 being that she is, she's giving birth. So right here you can see the other pregnant female who is pregnant, and probably some of her color has left her body because she's giving that nutrients to her young. She's giving that extra, calcium or carotene. To be quite honest, I don't know what elements go into pigmentation of the blue pigmentation specifically. But you can see the other female not quite as far along. The eggs are smaller, a little different color. They're kind of a mustard color. And I've seen these eggs be everything from a reddish brick hue to mustard to almost whitish to neon yellow and green, with fuzzy green indicating a fungal bacteria where you will lose the eggs. But yeah, so the blue line comes from there. It also comes from pearl blue palmatas. And over here, if we pull away for a minute, let's see if any of the real dark cherry shrimp are around. But here's a normal cherry shrimp, nice and bright red, typical vibrant, there you go, really red, like just blazing red. But if we take a look at, let's get some other ones flushed out of here, like this gal here, she actually has blue pigment that allows her to look like a darker red, but it's really blue pigment. It doesn't turn into purple like mixing paints. These darker ones are closer to a Bloody Mary, which just means that the actual pigmentation within their flesh and in their skeleton, in their exoskeleton, actually has hues of blue in it. So this process can go on all night, so I won't bore you with it, but I just wanted to kind of show you the actual process. And it's almost interesting here that, are these 2 pregnant females, are they feeling for each other, or is the other one coming to aid? Is there something I don't know, like maybe there's some sort of afterbirth or shell casing that she ends up eating from the other one? I don't know. But it's rather interesting, and the other females have chosen to stay fairly far away, and the Babalti shrimp, who just gave birth, the female just gave birth the other day, are just zipping around the tank way more than usual, which I don't know the reason for that, but I do know that when a shrimp has a saddle, which is, let's see if we've got one with a saddle that's real clear anywhere in sight, but it's their ovaries, and it's you see that yellow that looks like guts up in her head, that will turn into a longer dip, or what we call saddle, full of eggs, and then it will head down her spine, so it will start up here, and it'll head down the spine, and then she'll get fertilized, and the eggs will drop down. Now, I think what it is an opening opens under the tail there, and then the male shrimp can fertilize. But right now, the female is in the very last process from what I've observed in the past, and she is opening up those side armor. She's flexing those panels. That's why she shedded right before she buried up. They often do that. If you notice, your female shrimp are all getting new coats. They'll hide because they're delicate for a week after that or so, and then usually they'll proceed to become buried and pregnant. So looks like we're down to the very last, maybe 2 or 3 eggs in there, like I was saying, and she's juggling them. You can make out, let's see, oh, there goes another one into the substrate. She's got one hanging out from under her belly, and she's going to flick it out. You see the yellow? It's very interesting. Some of them have different colors. Come on, focus. Come on, focus. We've got a, of course, the focus is screwed up at the last second. Alright, but so now she's got this little yellow one, and is she going to flick it out of her body or store it back up because it's not ready? It's definitely standing out, and she has it internally. I can tell that even though the camera can't. She's probably trying to get the last little bits of the peel of the egg off and then get rid of it. Now, it could be that one that's yellower than all the other ones inside of her, it could have a mold on it, and she could be determining whether she can clean that fungus off or whether it's too far gone and she just disposes of it in order to not infect the others out of habit, even though there aren't really other eggs to infect at this point. It's over. So I'm going to leave you here because we could be here for another hour or two for all I know. But I hope you guys learned a little something. I hope you enjoyed watching this. And this was the miracle of life, miracle of birth, with blue dream Neocaridina shrimp related to cherry shrimp, and they're just giving birth. It's around midnight. They tend to do it in the evening, I've noticed, probably when predators are less present to eat the babies. Usually they do it somewhere a little more hidden, but clearly they feel fairly relaxed here. And there comes the final eggs right there as we're closing out the video. One just dropped right in between the cracks. There's 2 left, and one looks like it might be coming out, and the other one, she's definitely, what she's doing with those little swimmerettes on her is she's assessing, are those still good eggs or do I not bother? So that's what's going on here. There goes another little guy, and let's see here. That one came out white, which is interesting. It's already hidden, but they'll hide for the first week, sometimes up to 3, and then they'll come out. Now, if conditions are very bad, they can hide for like a month and not grow very fast. But if you have good conditions, like this tank with the algae and the beneficial bacteria, you'll get these babies who you can see are substantially smaller than the adults still, but they'll come out despite it being in the wide open. They'll come out. So now she's going to be exhausted after she finishes here, and it looks like, so this wasn't, I'm not thinking that this is a baby that she had walking around next to her. I think that is still one of the older shrimplets, because usually they're a little more clear at this stage, and it takes them a couple hours at least to color up. But I could be wrong. That could have been a large one that was stuck way up by her shoulder and stomach and intestines. But I'm going to assume it's one of the other one of the other old ones. So if you guys learned something like this, if you want to help me get a better camera so I can zoom in on this really clearly and talk about the biology, evolution, the science, the history, and just, you know, hopefully help you guys out understanding these processes and maybe doing some troubleshooting. For instance, if she had gotten stuck here, or had passed away, I would know that I could cut her open very gently, and those shrimp would probably be fine just sitting on the sponge filter for the evening, since they were coming out tonight anyways. But the eggs can also be placed into an egg tumbler, which I can show you in another video how you can make those with just an air hose and well, an air pump, I suppose, too. And a little container or valve. So, I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope your fish, shrimp, they're all doing well. And hopefully this female recovers from the stress of pregnancy. You can see that both of them already have new saddles forming. That yellow there, that can also be their gut or food in their intestines, their brain, and all that, all packed into there. Although I want to say that oh, there comes another baby right there. So I don't know if you saw that, but it's just gonna lay there. So rather teeny tiny little shrimplet, and now we've lost her behind the Tupperware fog. There comes another one, if you just saw that. So that's probably the last two right there. So she's probably done now, and she'll go find a place to hide and rest, and she could be resting for several days after this. And this female is next in line to have that happen. Now, I think that this shrimp who just appeared out of nowhere right here, this blue one next to the orange rock by the edge in the bottom corner of your screen, that is one of the new ones, and it does have that much pigment. It kind of just depends on how well formed they are. So there's no fish in this tank, so no fear of them getting eaten or anything like that, and they can just focus on growing. But I hope that this channel and this information has helped you guys learn something. It's been interesting, and you know, maybe it saved you money. Each of these shrimp babies theoretically could be worth, you know, whatever, $10 or $5, depends where you live, $3 in Europe, or, you know, $20 in the Midwest somewhere where there's no pet shops. But I'd pay, you know, about $9 or $10 for good quality Blue Dream shrimp. And you know, those babies coming out, if they all died, that's theoretically $200 to $400 dying on you, not to mention it being sad. But hopefully this channel, knowledge, information in general, is power, and maybe if that helps you and you save that money, you save those shrimp, you feel good about it, any number of things like that on my channel, and it's worth it to you. I really appreciate when people help me out on Patreon and make a donation there, when they subscribe, like, share videos. You know the drill. If you share and like the videos, make sure you click on the little bell where you sign up for subscribing, and make sure that it's selected to let you know when new material is released in the drop down menu. Otherwise it doesn't automatically do that anymore. So that is the half-hour birth. Here comes the very last egg, trying to come out, trying to get flicked out. I think this one may have mold on it because it is a bright green, which you can't see on your screen, but I'm seeing it. You're probably seeing an orange or yellow-ish color, but that happens sometimes where a few of the eggs just sit and she can't get to them and clean them all. But it's really a miracle. Thank you for watching. Take care. Take care of the people around you, the critters around you, and yourself, and I'll talk to you next time. Good night.